So how do I talk about this game without getting canceled like many other people? I tried to play this once it came out. To give context, the creator of the series, Harry Potter, said some really bad things that I can't really, well, that I won't really go into, but that made liking Harry Potter or anything associated bad. People that made the game said that there was no connection between them and said creator. So that thing is that some of the people who made the game didn't have a clean past. It was also brought up once people started looking into them. As you can see, I am not naming anyone because I feel like that it is messy and this is about the game. There isn't a reason to talk about them since I tend to just play the game and not care about who made the game. Care more about the game itself, what it is about, and not about anyone's past, especially if they're trying to make up for it. The only way that I look at the names of the game creators is when the credits roll and go through all of it because I made it through the game so I can make it through the credits. It does get hard to sit and wait for credits when it goes over 20 minutes. I'm just sitting there waiting for it to end, but can't because I'm being held hostage. Credits are the worst when you're waiting 40 minutes and not understanding why they didn't speed it up when they had so many people that worked on the game. I'm going to stop stalling and talk about the game. That is the title of this YouTube video. Hogwarts Legacy. I just beat this game last week, so it's still fresh into my head. And funny enough, I have owned this game for a while. A while being since it came out. They've made an old Steam account just so I could play it, not be pestered about playing it during the controversy. I played it for a bit when I went on tour, but not enough to actually make progress into the story. That worked out because I was able to play it on stream. I've always liked magic since I started watching cartoons, because the idea of magic appearing from mana or from somewhere within you, exploding out of a wand/staff, was amazing to me. Years down the line, I still love magic, but with more information, I know that there is a lot more studying and theory involved with magic. Element wise, I was always drawn to Dark Element because of the taboo nature of it. And because a lot of it dealt with debuffs. And the further into dark magic you delve, you would see people dealing with necromancy. I was also a kid that loved to read, and I read all the Harry Potter books growing up. So when the movies came out, I made sure to go to the theaters to go see them. Sadly, I wasn't able to play any of the games when they came out, which is why this game was something I wanted to play. I missed out on a ton of the games, so I knew it was a nostalgia hit when I played, especially because you were able to put your character into the game. Plus, because it was a wizarding app, you were able to import your house and wand, which was amazing. Now let's talk about the morality system in this game. Which sadly there isn't one. Biggest spoiler I will say is that your character can learn from curses so you can dip your hand somewhat into the dark side. The sad thing is that you can't actually be evil. You are just kind of morally gray at best, even though you do bad things. You're punished for it. You are just told that what you are doing isn't the best thing to do and aren't kicked out of school for learning things that would get you jailed. It is probably because joining the other side doesn't make sense because what the enemy is doing doesn't align with your interests. You also wouldn't align with a certain group of enemies because they just hate you from the start. But that is something that has also caused a stir. Another reason people boycotted the game was because the goblins were fighting to be free. People felt that related a lot to a real life group. That's saying what I'm referring to, just do your own research if you are so curious. The main antagonists of the game are the goblins. If you know Harry Potter lore, you know that a lot of races, like the house elves and goblins, are basically used as servants. They don't have much power in the wizarding world when it comes to hierarchy. Most house elves are treated like slaves and can only be freed from service if they are given a piece of clothing. The goblins can use magic, but are made to restrict their use of magic because of how powerful it can be. There are other reasons that are explained in the game, so you'll learn about it as you play it. Also understand why there wasn't a good/evil side in this game, because this was the start of the series, and I say series because the second game was confirmed. Well, I saw something about it. Without spoiling anything, it is very hard to do an evil run of this game because it would just be you being kicked out of school and trying to find out what to do with your time. Then again, most of the game you are going throughout the world and rarely going to class to a point talked about by someone. I'm trying to think of a way where an evil run would work, but it would conflict with the story too much if you joined the bad guys that have been trying to kill you this whole time. Even the dark ending that I didn't do, but read about it, is truthfully the more logical path at the end of the day. I say logical because you are stuck between keeping things the same as they have been or taking something for yourself. Keeping it the same would basically cause the same problems down the line, while taking the thing for yourself would theoretically make the said thing end with you, so no one would have to worry about it later down the line. I hope there's a way to implement an actual evil ending in the sequel because just doing curses seems weird. I was also weirded out my wand cast was red. Maybe the cast changes depending on if you learn curses or not. Then again, I wouldn't even think red would be evil because I would think your wand cast would be based on your spell type, or what house you are in. It's funny that I never thought about the whole cast be while playing, but then again, it doesn't really matter what color lights up on your wand. Then finally talk about the game that didn't really take me that long to beat, even though I did every side quest that there was, so that I could get as much out of the game as possible. In total, I feel like I spent about 50 plus hours, and majority of that time was spent on side quests and exploration. I try to do that with every game I play until I feel that the side quests are just filler quests that don't really add to the game. Then I move on to the main quest. Truthfully, there's only one side quest in the game. It's actually fun, and I don't count the personal side character quest. You get a side quest. When it comes to quests, there is your story quest, your side character quest, and your side quest that you find around the world. The story quest progresses this game. It also opens up new spells for you to learn and add to your repertoire to use in battle. Side character quests give you more insight into the select group of classmates you interact with the most and gives you a peek into their personality and what drives them. The side quest has you doing fetch quests, fighting different things, and also finding certain things into the world, which sadly isn't entertaining. Also, because of all the side quests in the game, if you just continue to do it, you'll find yourself at a higher level compared to your story quest. Combat is how you would think combat would go in a Hogwarts video game, where you have to sling spells or to fight enemies. It gets boring, but it's kept alive by having to use certain spells in order to break enemy shields. The spell management is also not the best. Maybe if I stuck to mouse and keyboard, I would have gotten more of an old RPG kind of ability bar to use all of the spells instead of having to go through different sets to use them. I don't think that is the case, since you unlock other tabs for spells in your talents menu. Okay, to boil this all down, you get to put 4 different spells into one tab, and you're able to get 3 other tabs, which means 4 tabs in total, which is a whopping 16 spells to use. It's a lot of work trying to remember what spell is on which tab, so I feel like the best way is to put spell types in the same tab, kind of follow suit, and replace what you need. That wouldn't work out since you have more spells that you can put into the 16 slots that are given. In game, you're given a dodge and a shield that, if you time the shield right, you're able to use a counter spell that will stun the enemy. If you level up some things, you're even able to do damage with said stun ability. Dodging is good once you're able to level it up, because once it is leveled up, you're able to do a dash with it if you hold the dodge button. The reason that is great is that enemies have indicators when they're going to attack you. Brown says orange when it is something that can be blocked, and red when it is something that can't be blocked but has to be dodged. The talent system is how you level up your spells and add modifiers to the items you use as well. Like I said earlier, curses are put into the game, which means the Dark Arts is a talent tree that you can invest points into. There are 5 talent trees in the game, which are spells, Dark Arts, core, stealth, and rumor requirement. Spell tree will give you mastery of your spells, which in turn will change the effects of the spells how it's used in battle. Dark Arts adds curses to your spells, which increases the damage that enemies take once they are cursed. Core talent tree gives you well-rounded buffs to your basic abilities like your dodge and your shield, also giving you more tabs so that you can use more of your spells. I believe I didn't really level up most of this tree since I just needed a few things, and after I got it, I never really looked at it again. Stealth talent tree is the shortest tree, and the one I maxed out since stealth was used a lot in my playthrough, since it's very easy to dispatch enemies with stealth, since getting spotted can call our enemies in the air. When I say call, I literally mean the enemies will fly into the area. They can even do that when you are doing stealth as well. It means if you want a quick run of a mission, the best way is to do it with stealth and feel like you're a solid snake. The last one's probably the one I wasn't most hyped for, but disappointed once I saw it was included in the talent tree, because it had to do with potions and your consumable items. I would have rather dealt with the beast portion of the room, but since that was my personal preference, I understood that talent trees needed to deal with things needed for combat. Mentioned I spent most of my time outside of class because the game would tell you when to attend, so it wasn't something you always went to just because you wanted to feel like a student in Hogwarts. You needed to explore and collect plants that you found along the way. Also unlock flue flames that are along the path. Flue flames are your waypoints that allow you to fast travel so that you don't have to walk everywhere in this huge world. This wouldn't be a Hogwarts game without the ability to ride a broom, but it's something you unlock once you're able to attend your flying class. Flying on the broom is kind of a slow mess, but you're able to upgrade the broom later in the game, which once it is fully upgraded, you can really feel the difference. Some of the other things I did outside of school besides quests were collecting different beasts and adding them to my hub, and you'll find out what that is later on. It was a game I was flying around and getting flue flames so that I was able to fast travel whenever a mission was far away. Most of the time I would look for side missions because I didn't want to just immediately go into the story mission, but they weren't fun to me. I had more fun flying around on my broom than when I was doing side missions. Classes weren't really that fun to me. Yes, you were able to see what Hogwarts classes entailed while your characters took them, but you mainly had one class. You would do a mission to the class and maybe attend that class maybe one more time. In order to learn most of your new spells, you have to do do assignments that are assigned from your teachers. I like that even though classes weren't a daily thing, you could still see these teachers and learn from them at the end of the day. Sad thing is that these assignments were just a task you have to do, and then you go back to them when you're ready to hand them in. What I mean by that, it's like you do your assignments for your professors, and then you basically hand them back into them. Well, you do hand them back into them. I'm not gonna write something for that. It's really just a dumbed out whatever. You don't really talk to them, build a relationship with time, or spend time in class or learn from them by doing different activities. I kind of wish there was more of the potion class where you made the potion and interacted with the professor while doing it. I feel like if they added more to classes and I would have gotten to know the professors more, I would have cared for them a lot more once I beat the game. So I was debating if I wanted to talk about this part for a while because it's something looking forward to the most, but also understand that it's somewhat spoilers, but not story spoilers. It is the name of one of the talent trees, which is a room requirement in the place I spent a good chunk of my time. So the room requirement is, like I said earlier, your hub is where you brew your potions, grow your plant, and house the rescue beasts you find throughout the world. I believe I spent more time with the animals than I did getting all the consumable portions, which were the plant and the potions. The plants and potions took as little as 10 seconds to as long as 4 to 5 minutes, which is why I never really waited for them to be done. If I needed to go to school for any reason, I went to the room requirements first to collect everything I could and check if anything was unlocked in the room. Like I said, I enjoyed seeing all the beasts play around, and I wish there was more space for the beasts in the vivarium because you had a limited amount of space for the beasts. But the space definitely allowed for more beasts to be put into the area. I think that was one of the few things I disliked about the vivarium, since I wanted to fill them up with beasts of the same type. So it was time to talk about a few things I disliked, which I won't just make a full list since this game fulfilled my nostalgia trip, which made it worth it. So the game had a lot of instances it would give you a mission that would last for a few minutes. You would fast travel to the destination, have to wait, which made you sit on the floor and get up once the wait time was over. After all the waiting, you read the character and do a few lines of dialogue and the mission is over. The funny thing is that these missions are usually a part of a string of missions that you have to wait to play. I believe you have to let time pass in order to see the next part of the mission. Unless you're passing time a lot, it would take time to finish these missions. I would progress the story and fly around on the map. It would take hours before I even got to see the next part. I would then be awarded with a 5-minute dialogue mission that wouldn't really be memorable to me because it had been hours since I completed the previous mission. I would have liked this just being one long mission, or if this was more immersive because I'm trying at this point and can't remember anything about them except the end of these missions. Reason for that is because these parts were long. We had a destination to go to, and it wasn't done in 5 minutes. Also, when I beat the game, I was made to level up to 34, which wasn't a long grind because I was level 33 when I beat it. I didn't want to grind on stream for 30 minutes, so I did it off stream, and that took about 20 minutes to get leveled up. Because I did all the side missions already, I had to fight a bunch of random enemies, go into dungeons, and a bunch of random things I didn't want to do. I did it for the last mission. Also, besides the last mission, I had an additional mission that wanted me to collect all of a certain collectible, which I wasn't going to do because that was more of a grind. Anyway, so I spent about maybe 6 minutes on the last mission, and it was just a cutscene that didn't really hit the feels. But then again, it didn't really have to feel like the end. The game was meant to have a sequel, so it should never make you feel like this is it, but that there is more to discover in battle. Truthfully, that wasn't what I got from beating the game, but just the kind of sense like, oh, we beat the end boss. Nice. Now what? But the ending was about a 6-minute cutscene and about a 30-minute credit scene, which was sad in my opinion. You shouldn't have a short ending cutscene and then hit us with a long credit at the end of the game, but I am just finding faults when I know this wasn't the longest credits I've seen in a game. Overall, this game hit all the places it needed when it came to nostalgia, but even though that gives it such a boost when it comes to gaming, I still wouldn't put it anywhere near one of my favorite games this year. The story was alright at best, and the pacing between quests felt good, but could have been better. I would have rated pacing higher if I didn't have to deal with waiting for companion quests to even start. Room Requirements was great because it gave you the vibes of a farming sim, because you didn't have to go out in the world to find the ingredients you needed for potions. Combat-wise, I felt like it was pretty boring, but not much you can do with a Howarts game unless you made it so that you have to draw a spell every time you want to use it. Actually, that would be nice in a higher difficulty because just immediately using a spell once doesn't mean you have mastered it. We have seen in the HP movies that you can easily mess up a spell even if you have learned it in class. I feel like that shouldn't be a fast cast spell unless you use it a certain amount of time. Also, I would like some more personality with quests because I only liked one side quest. There was a ton of side quests you find throughout the world. I would have also liked the morality system that made you feel bad for learning curses and having it affect how you acted throughout your dialogue choices. You learn forbidden curses, and the only one that changes for the worse, person that teaches you said curses. And you have to agree to their bad actions, but that is only so you can learn more curses. After you learn it, you can easily act like you are still a good student, while said person is rotting inside because of the curses. Like I said, I mainly wanted to play this game because I read all the HP books growing up. Once that bias is taken out, I think it was a pretty mid game that had very low personality. I would play the second game just to see if the story grew, so I'm type of sold because I really want this game to be better for the child only. But that is all I have to say about this game. There was a lot, I mean a lot. That was my head. That was my head. Oh my gosh. Alright. There's a lot I held back on saying because I hate spoiling the game for people, even though I did start showing gameplay behind my videos. But that is it. Anyway, my name is Oni the Incubus, and that's my own time. You'll have an amazing week and day. Alright. Later days. Love you all. Bye. Where is my mouse? I see my mouse, my cursor. It's there. I love it. In the air. There's never a place for my cursor doesn't belong, but it belongs there.